Hello and welcome. In this tutorial we're going to be creating the parts of a chain, the pins and the links, the male and the female links. And then I am going to create an assembly where the chain can actually move around the pins. But the assembly will be on a separate video. So for part one, we're just going to be creating the components of the chain. So I went ahead and did it already, but I'm going to go through how to do it also. So just to give you a quick show what they are and what they're going to look like. Alright, so let me just create another part studio. Alright, so to begin, I'm going to start with the pins. And so this is they have two components, right? There's the actual pin and then the pin cap. So the pin is going to fit into the pin cap. Alright, so I'm going to start with the pin, creating a sketch, going to the front plane, and we know that it's 0.4, so we're working in inches here, so it's 0.4. The radius is 0.25. And we're going to make the assumption that it's a circle, and it's all centered. So the circle has a diameter of 1/2 inch, and then it gets cut off from the top and the bottom at 0.4. So what I'm going to do is create a center point rectangle. Dimension the side to be 0.4. Zoom in here. And then make a circle. Start in the center here. And then I'm going to dimension that out to 0.5. So now I'm going to just do some trimming. M for trim. And then I'm just going to get rid of this outside part of the box. And then the top and the bottom of the circle. So they're blue again, so I'm going to go ahead and dimension. It got rid of those dimensions, so 0.4. And now I'm good. So I'm going to extrude this head out to be 0.13. And it doesn't really matter right now because we're not going to make a drawing out of this. We're just going to make assemblies. So you don't have to line up your planes. Like, as long as you know your orientation, you're good. So if it's coming out of the front, that's fine. Normally I would want that going the opposite direction, but no big deal here. Now I'm going to make the cylinder portion. Sketch, circle, midpoint, and dimension this. And it is 0.22. And if I look over here, the total length is 0.99. So 0.13 minus 0.99 gives me 0.86. So I need to extrude this out 0.86, and there's a chamfer on the end, a 45-degree chamfer with a distance of 0.03. So pretty small stuff. So 0.86. And make sure it's coming off of that. And then I'm going to add a chamfer. And I'm going to use distance and angle. The distance is 0.03, the angle is 45. Check it off. So now it'll be able to fit in to the female and the cap. So, and I can rename this to pin. Now I'm going to just hide it and make the cap. So I'm going to go into the front, sketch, click on the front, and again, it's the same. The head portion of it is the same. So rectangle, dimension, that is going to be 0.4. Zoom in here, make a circle. This is going to be 0.5. Oop. And I can do this coincide mate, so this with that. And I'm going to trim, 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 trim. All right, extrude it out at 0.13. Check it off, and now sketch again. Click on my face, circle. Now this cylinder is going to be hollowed out. So the outside diameter is 0.37. .37, and the inside diameter actually I'm going to make a cut because that's what it says here, so I'm just going to make a cut rather than do the math with 0.13, 0.35, and then I'm gonna make the cut. I'm gonna cut the hole out. So from here, I'm just gonna extrude the circle out, and that is 0.35 minus 0.13. So we know that that is 0.22. But if you wanted to be fail-safe, you could type in the 0.35 minus the 0.13, and that'll actually do the math for you. Nice little trick. All right, so now we're going to make the hole. Sketch, circle, dimension this, and the hole is going to be 0.23 diameter, and extrude. This time we're going to be removing material, and we're going to be removing 0.22. Check it off. Looks good. We need to add that chamfer because this one also has a chamfer, I do believe, and it is the same chamfer. Go over to chamfer, click on that circle, and again we're going to do distance angle 0.03, 45 degrees. Check it off. So now the pin can fit right in there nice and snug. Probably works similarly as a rivet, I would think, kind of similar, like kind of smash it in there, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure in that. So now I'm going to right click on there, rename it to pin cap, hide it, and now we're going to move on to one of the links. So we could call this a female link because this is going to fit into there. Click on front. And so I'm just going to create, this is kind of like a slot. So I'm just going to create a square with 2 half circles and extrude it that full distance. And then I'm going to cut out 2 squares on top, looking down, to get those out. So here we go. So sketch, front plane, center point rectangle again. I like the center point rectangles because you can kind of base everything in the center origin here. Now there are a lot of situations where you want to start, maybe have the datum in the corner of your part, where you can use the corner rectangle. But for what we're doing here, I kind of like using. We're not converting this to any CAM software or anything like that. So the center point rectangle works. So put it in here. And now I am going to define this length here. So 1.25 dimension 1.25, and so the radius for this is 0.38. So the diameter, right, is going to be this length. So 2 times that, so you're going to get 0.76. 0.76. All right, now we're going to do 2 circles, one over here and one over here. And then I'm going to trim this all up. Trim, 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 trim. And if that happens, no worries. Dimension. And we can just do that. And I'm going to make a hole because there's 2 holes in there. So another circle. And the nice thing about this is we can just extrude everything around these holes. And I'm going to set them equal to each other. So the equal constraint E for that. So whatever I do to this one, the other one's going to do the same thing. And those holes are 0.23. And now I'm ready to extrude. So I'm going to extrude this out 0.87. Extrude 0.87. Check it off, and it looks pretty good. So now I'm going to make a cut from the top. So the top here, I'm actually going to cut out these 2. I'm going to use 2 rectangles to cut these 2 portions out. So sketch, click on the top here, and then I'm going to have, I'm going to start with a center line from here to here, so a construction line, and then another one from here to here. Just to give me some things I can play with. Okay, so now I am going to use the center point rectangle again, choose this spot because I know it's in the center. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I'm going to use this equal, and I'm going to select my, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Control Z. I guess I don't need to make them equal. I can just do it with dimensioning. So dimension, and the space here is what I know, and that space is, so it's going to be 0.87, minus 0.22 minus 0.22. Right, so 0.87 minus 0.44. So 0.87 minus 0.44. And so actually, here, let me do this over again. So I'm actually going to get them in the center here. So I'm gonna dimension from this to the midpoint, and the midpoint is going to be not what I was doing over here. Not what I was doing over here. The midpoint is actually going to be right here. So 0.25. 0.25, and that's going to be divided by 2. So that's going to be 1.125. So 0.125. And then same thing over here. 0.125. And then we're going to go from here to here. And that is going to be 0.22. And this is going to be 0.22. And we're fully defined because we chose the center point. We chose the center point of the actual part. So now we have our two squares, and I'm just going to cut right on down through my part. So extrude cut, and it's going to be remove, and I'm going to put through all and check it off. So that looks pretty good. The last thing I want to do though is these all have radius, so these are all fillets. So I need to create fillets along my hard edges, and it says all fillets and rounds are 0.03 except for all holes. So I'm going to go ahead and make fillets around here, and that is here. You go fillet or shift F, and then I'm just going to select everything, and it's 0.03, and circular is fine, and I'm just going to go around and select everything I need to select to get that around everywhere. And it continues along the path, which is cool. And make sure I get the bottom. And we're good. So that looks good there. Check it off. And I'm ready for the second link. So I'm going to name this, let's see if they, double link. They're calling this a double link, or maybe that's the name of these two together. I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is rename, so double link, and then F for female, and then hide it. And we're going to go ahead and make this part. So sketch, front, and this one's a little different. So we're going to make it similarly, except we're gonna cut out some of the circle. So yeah, so I'm gonna make a center point rectangle again, go in the center, and So this radius is 0.5. So dimension from here, oops, dimension from here to here. Nope. What's going on here? Here to here is 1. Right? Because radius is 0.5, so the diameter would be 1. And from here, so the center point of this is 1.08. So dimension from here to here is 1.08. And I'm going to make my circles. And do some trimming. And if my dimensions go away, I can just redo them. No big deal there. Oop, I already had that one. Okay. Delete dimension. And yeah, this is 1.08. All right, circle here, circle there, make them equal, dimension them out, one of them out, and that is 0.23. And we look pretty good. So I'm going to extrude this out now. And I'm going to extrude it out the entire depth right there. So 0.82. Oh, so this is the link. I'm just seeing this now. So this is the link and this is the double link. I'm just noticing that now. And then that'll be 0.82 depth. Check it off. So now I'm going to cut in with my circles. So sketch on the front, and then I'm going to make a circle. Start it from the midpoint, go all the way up there. Same deal over here, midpoint, snap on to the corner there. And begin my cut, remove, and that's going to be removed by 0.22. Check it off. So what I'm not sure about, okay, that makes sense. So that's actually okay, that's why it wasn't making sense. All right, so these circles are actually 0.51. So let me back up here. Let's go back into this sketch and make this 1.02, right? So 0.51 times 2. And I can get rid of that constraint. So yeah, okay, and then I'm going to set this equal to that. Dimension, oh yeah, 1.02. Get rid of this tangent constraint, delete. Okay, so now that makes more sense. Okay, cool. So extrude, and we're gonna remove, and it's gonna be 0.22. Selected tools and targets do not intersect. Let's try merge with all. All right. So when you don't make things tangent, sometimes it gets a little wonky. When you're not making, when you're not establishing geometry constraints, sometimes it gets a little weird. But we got to kind of follow along with what this is telling us. It says the radius, so all 4 of these cuts, right, are going to be 0.51, and I'm making the assumption that it's from the center of the circle because it doesn't give us any other information. And from there, I'm going to check it off. So that works. That works. And now I'm going to, instead of having to do that whole thing over here, which, I mean, is easy, but I'm going to show you another little trick. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a plane, front plane, offset, sketch, and this is going to be my mid plane. So I want it halfway through my object here. So 0.82 divided by 2 is going to give me 0.41. Check it off. And now I can, instead of go through all the dimensioning and stuff of the 2 cuts there, I can just click on mirror. And I'm not doing a part mirror, I'm doing a feature mirror, and I can click on that extrude 10, and I'm going to click on my plane I just created, and notice that it makes the cut on the other side. So now we are good. We got our link. I can just name this link because now we know the difference, right? Double link is female, link is the male. And now I can move on to the assembly. And I'm going to do that in the next video. So follow this. This will be part 1. I'll have a part 2 that'll go over the assembly of this chain. And I just quickly, like, this is kind of like what it's going to do, and you can actually move it around. There's no crash detect, but so it's pretty cool. And I'll show you how to do that next video.